Well, it's been a hot minute since I heard some really good, like, folk-infused retro prog. So, yeah, let's dive into this one. Light Up by Solstice. So, Solstice is a UK symphonic folk retro prog. I feel like, the nomenkers of all these bands are just getting longer and longer. But they've been around for a lot longer than I anticipated. They got their start in the early 80s, dropping their first record in 1984 with Silent Dance. And then continuing with two records in the 90s, New Life and Circles. Couple albums in the 2010s with Spirit, Prophecy, and putting out an album in 2020 called Sia that, now I haven't heard any of these, so I'm kind of coming in blind a little bit. Looks like Prophecy is probably the best of the work from 2013. But we are back today, this year, with Light Up, and this one, oh man, what I'm really enjoying about this one, as I mentioned at the beginning, is the folk aspect of this one. I'm getting real, mostly autumn vibes about this one. I'm also getting feels from, Karnataka. I'm also getting, Kappa feels for it in terms of, the symphonic side of things. And the main thing that I love about this record is the vocal works by Jess Holland. Jess's voice is just angelic. She's bringing through so many beautiful soundscapes within her vocal works that I can't help but love. And paired with that is the musicianship for everybody else. Jenny Newman on violin. Her violin work does what a lot of keyboardists and synthesizers try to do in terms of setting mood. She's not using the violin to blast down several thousand notes a second. She's using it to create atmosphere and mood that I really appreciate. Now, that being said, she's still able to really take center stage on a number of tracks and really command the styles. You can hear this especially within the fifth track of Home. And I know I'm skipping pretty far ahead in the track length here, but her violin work paired with Jess's hauntingly beautiful vocals, the two of them paired together just make me melt. It's just such a brilliant and fun aspect to it. Rounding off the band, we have Andy Glass on guitars and vocals. We have Pete Helmsley on drums. We have Robin Phillips on bass and Steve McDonald, I believe, on keyboards and vocals. So pretty good smattering of individuals kind of helping us out here. We've got 6 tracks across 44 minutes worth of music and perfect runtime, perfect length, perfect runtime. We've got a couple tracks that are kind of edging into the longer stretches of sounds. We got the second track of Wrongel number 9 at 7 minutes and 14 seconds. We have Run at 8 minutes and 14 seconds at the fourth track. And the final track of Bal Bal Tarag, I believe is how you pronounce it, Bal Bal Tarag, at 10 minutes and 24 seconds. So got a number of tracks on here that's really stretching the legs into the longer side of things to allow them to really develop the sounds, develop the music in that sense. But we still have some really quick and digestible tracks kind of smattered around this. The album itself opens up with the title track of Light Up at 5 minutes and 40 seconds. And it really does feel like a really nice, bright, sunny day. We've got a lot of different harmonies within the vocal work, starting everything off, laying the ground for all the music to come around with it. It's very light. It's very airy. You kind of get the idea that we're not in for a very complex time. We're here for a good time. And I really enjoy Light Up's kind of celebration of sound. This is one of the things that I love about symphonic prog and retro prog is their happy, optimistic celebration of sound that they bring to the table. And that is definitely found within Light Up. But I also love that they kind of change up the musical styles as well. Wrongel number 9 starts off very smooth with this really beautiful drumming and bass work that reminds me of a particular website, if you kind of catch my drift, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but goes into this very smooth style of almost like this bluesy kind of rhythmic aspect of it that I really enjoy. It's got this bounce and this flavor to it, and across the 7 minutes and 14 seconds, it really does kind of skip along very, very nicely. Mount Ephemera, the third track, sees Jenny Newman on the violin front and center. Loving her work on this one. I love that kind of Celtic flavor that she's bringing within this violin. I'm loving the bounce as well. It's very bouncy. It's very fun. We've got almost like this jig aspect to it. And so 3 tracks in, we're getting 3 very different styles of this band, which is great for the fourth track being Run at one of the more lengthy tracks at 8 minutes and 14 seconds, being a very slow burn of a track. It is a lengthier one, as I mentioned, at 8 minutes and 14 seconds long, but it's the very slow one. You know, it's a slow burn. I love that it's very intimate between the listener and Jess on the vocal works. Everybody is kind of slowed down to, I don't want to say a crawl, but at least a steady march that allows for the song to very gradually build to a very satisfying crescendo at the end. That the amount of momentum that they've taken within this track builds to that brilliant ending that I can't help but melt. You know, like that ending big climb on it reminds me of some of the things that I love about this style of music. The final two tracks really pick up the tempo in that. I've already talked a little bit about Home, but the one thing is there's some background vocals that I don't know exactly what they're saying, but it sounds like they're saying hot potato, and it gets me very happy. It gets me very, very, like, I feel myself smiling because I hear, ooh, hot potato, ooh, hot potato. I know that's not what they're saying, but it definitely sounds like that. The only thing is, structurally, it's very similar to Run, but it's about 2 minutes shorter than it in being, you know, a very gradual build to this big crescendo. And I feel as though maybe they could have left one or the other off, or kind of condensed both tracks into one, because again, they kind of do the same thing. But then we come into the final track of Ball Ball Terang, I believe is how you pronounce it, the big 10-minute plus track, and this one really is the crowning jewel on this album. Once again, it starts off slow, starts off with this very pleasant opening. It almost feels as though, you know, it's the morning with the sunrise slowly creeping in, the colors are starting to bleed in, and it really isn't until like the second minute within this that we really start to get things underway and start to get things like under the power of this track. And I really love how everything's kind of blossoming together. And that final play out on the guitars by Andy Glass is just outstanding. I love his command. I love that he's finally allowing himself to give himself space for this really brilliant and beautiful guitar licks. It's, you know, it's not a million notes a second, but it does build to a very satisfying crescendo, with Jess finally coming back with the reprisal of the chorus that, this is why I love progressive rock and why I love symphonic rock and retro prog. Love that really satisfying build, satisfying ending. I will say, though, upon reflection, those final three tracks of Run, Home, and Ball Ball Terang, I feel like they structurally are very, very similar to the point of being almost indistinguishable. Now, luckily, the music that they formed around it provide a very different flavor and a very different taste, but each one starts off very somber, takes a while for it to grow, and then ends on a very pleasant and satisfying crescendo. But I do feel as though they all do the same thing, just in different variations. So I do wonder if they played around a little bit and kind of tried something a little bit different on this in terms of style, in terms of build up and payoff and flow. We might have had something a little bit more dynamic, but you know, I'm criticizing what isn't here rather than what is, and what is here is very pleasant. It's very satisfying, and I loved every second of it. I found myself being whisked away with this album, and I love the fact that the band takes its time to really let these tracks bloom and blossom, and they don't overstay their welcome. You know, it's 44 minutes worth of music, and it never feels overblown or overtired. So yeah, in the end, I will say Light Up by Solstice is one I would absolutely download. This is an album that I have a feeling I'll be returning to throughout the year, especially now that we're getting into a little bit of warmer weather. This is a very appropriate like spring summer record, you know, just to have on those really nice, really pleasant, warm, sunny days. This is the kind of music that I want to be listening to. So that's what I've got for Light Up from Solstice. What did you guys think about this album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. And also let me know of other retro prog outfits and bands that have released new albums this year. I'm still on the hunt for some really good retro prog, and I haven't really found like the cream of the crop. You know, I'm kind of circling around the bin, and I've been enjoying what I've been listening to, but I still feel like there's a diamond in the rough, you know? So let me know of any albums that you've come across this year that you've really enjoyed within the retro prog sphere. Let me know about that by commenting down below. But that's it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.